Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Taylor Falls, and I'm one of the Adobe Campus Ambassadors at the University of Alabama. I am so excited and grateful to be emceeing today's event, and I hope that you all are just as excited to be here. Today, we'll be hearing from three lovely guests from the companies that we all know and love: Disney, Pixar, and Netflix. Today, our panelists will be giving you a bit of an inside look of their jobs and what they consist of, along with a few helpful tips and tricks so that you can land your dream job. At the end, we will also have a challenge for you to complete where three winners will be selected to have a one on one with our lovely panelists. Well, I know all of you want to hear less from me and more from them. So we'll let our first panelists introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Mr. Henry Truong, who is the senior product designer at the Walt Disney Company.
Hey, I'm Henry. I've been at the Walt Disney Company for a little over 6 years now, and prior to that, I was once a tech recruiter when I first started off after college, and so there was a bit of a pivot in my career, but needless to say, it was one of the best decisions ever.
All right. Next, we're going to have Mr. Chris McPherson, who is the editorial and publishing manager at Netflix.
Hi everyone. I'm in week 10 at Netflix now, so a really new experience, very exciting, and learning more every day.
And last but never least, we have the wonderful Beth Sasseen, who is a university relations program manager at Pixar Animation Studios.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, have been at Pixar for about just over 6 years now, but also been at a number of visual effects and animation companies in the industry, and just have always been in and around production my entire career. So happy to help guide and offer insight.
Thank you all for your introductions. We are so excited to get to know you and learn a few tips and tricks about how to apply for our dream job. So if anyone has any questions, please do not hesitate to drop them in the chat. But to start, we're going to start with a few pre-prepared questions. So we're going to send the first question to you, Beth. So we want to know, what do you look for when going through applications for the intern program at Pixar?
That's a big question. I think the consistent things that we all look for are, well, we look at the work and see that it makes sense to, align with what we're looking for in the internship. But a lot of people ask whether or not they need to include a cover letter. And I always say, when in doubt, just include one. I'd rather have somebody not have their information thrown out because a cover letter was really required. But we try and see sort of who you are through your cover letter, a little bit of your story, what interests you, why are you interested in the industry versus just you liked a film that we made, and sort of what your career path might be.
Well, that was a fantastic answer. The next question is going to go to Hugh Henry. So we're going to ask, what tips would you give someone who's never done a professional digital portfolio before?
I think focusing on your story and what led you to design and your beliefs in design will really help at least ground you into having some solid content about yourself. Like, there have been instances where people talk about themselves and how and why they think they're so creative in it, but really what I think would be good is what's your belief as a designer? What's your belief in this space? I'll give you an example. I have this belief that when someone finds something difficult to use on a digital product, they don't blame the product or the brand, they blame themselves and they think they're stupid. And people don't like to feel stupid. So when they do, they just go somewhere else, go to another product, and there you lost yourself a user and a customer. So I've now devoted myself to ensure that doesn't happen for digital products. And so what I'm saying is, think about your story, think about your writing of about how you came to where you are today. Content is king in this regard, so it's not about how cool and edgy your portfolio may look, it's about your storytelling skills. And so, do you have a compelling story on your projects and about yourself?
I absolutely love that answer. That was fantastic. So now we're going to go to Chris. So we know that you're pretty new to Netflix. So congratulations again. That is super exciting. What do you think helped you to seal the deal?
It definitely relates to what Henry said in terms of storytelling, but really trying to position myself as the story and how my entire career led me to this moment, and really understanding the role and how it specifically relates to all of that. What I like to do in interviews specifically is like present a beginning, middle, and end. So I start in the beginning of my career, and then I talk about how I navigated the beginning and this the issues that I may have faced and how I overcame them, and then why I am here, what brought me here, and just kind of weaving that narrative. I think that definitely helped me and really connect with everyone I spoke with throughout the process.
That was a great answer. I have a follow-up question. So you said a little bit about, making sure that your portfolio and stuff is good, but how important is it to promote yourself and market yourself as a candidate in other ways?
Yeah, I feel like that's something you should always be thinking of, even if you don't have an active application open at a company. What if you want a job, especially in corporate America, your social media accounts, your LinkedIn accounts, they are an extension of you. And so your employers are going to look at it whether you like it or not. And so marketing yourself, maybe it's on Twitter, and engaging with people in careers that you want to venture into and seeing how they navigate that space, as well on LinkedIn, actively using your LinkedIn to promote your projects. You just did something really great at work that you're proud of. Share it with everyone on LinkedIn, share it with everyone on Twitter, because people aren't going to see these things unless you let them know. So you have to be your biggest cheerleader because no one else is going to do it for you.
Can I add to that?
Yes, go ahead.
I think that I absolutely 100% agree with everything you just said, Chris. And I'd add to that, joining like professional associations, especially as a student, like people are there to offer insight and share their experiences. And if you have a common interest, then it's very easy to walk up to somebody or virtually Zoom in with somebody, and ask them their background and how they got their start. And it's like, don't forget that there is networking opportunities that are around, or your alumni association. Look for people who have graduated from your university or your region. People are usually pretty generous with their time, and if they're not, if you put out 10 requests for a conversation with somebody, even if you only get two or three positive responses back, that's more than you had before. So just, it's you, the onus is on you to figure out who those people are to talk to. And most people are willing to talk to you.
All right. So the next question is for Henry. So can you tell us a little bit more about your career journey and what are a few key things that you think you did that helped you to get your position?
Yeah, I came from a non-traditional route with design. I started off as recruiting, as I was saying. It was sort of my way of getting into the tech world. I knew I wanted to be in tech. I've always been passionate as a kid and always super nerdy about those things. So it was sort of my way to break into it. Although it wasn't quite what I imagined myself being, it was still a role where I get to sit in front of a computer. And so I used that as an opportunity to learn what people do in the tech industry. So, as a recruiter, you're looking for software developers, designers, product managers, the whole thing, and you're just kind of learning how all those connective tissues work within an organization and company. And then came along UX design, and I was like, what is UX? And so, just talking to a bunch of candidates and learning about what they do, I was like, wow, this is a game changer what you guys are doing. You're not necessarily coding, which was something I was trying to avoid doing in tech. But there was something really nice about seeing all their work and the storytelling. I was super inspired. And so, as a recruiter at the time, my sister had opened up a business. She had opened up an optometry office and she needed a website. So, I took the chance to design give it a chance. I felt like I knew what goes into a design. I talked to many candidates, and I kind of know the process a little bit. And we launched. It wasn't the prettiest work ever, but we did it, and I wanted more of it. I knew that that was my higher calling because I stayed up late in the night, still as a recruiter too, and somehow I still wanted more of that. And so my passion and desire just kind of naturally gravitated towards that. And I think there was something to be said about that. And so I looked into some courses and I dropped what I was doing as a recruiter and became a full time design student. Gave it my all, networked a bunch, and then worked at a couple of agencies. And then Disney came along, and yeah, now I've been here for 6 years. So that story that I just told you is a story that I've been telling recruiters since day one. That story probably had been iterated at least 10 times. It's a story that I can probably say over and over and over again, and in the smallest form factor to the longest form factor. But that's what it I think that's what it takes sometimes is to really have a compelling story as to how you came to be today, because the job was, yes, the game was to, yes, get a job, but also to really build the confidence for your hiring manager and recruiter to let them know that this is a serious pivot in my life and I'm taking it very seriously. And so the confidence in that story ended up just kind of propelling over and over again. And so that's kind of that's my story. And if I had a few key things to maybe provide for you, for everyone, is just recognize your interests. Notice how much time you naturally spend on something, because that's probably a specialty and an area of interest that you are going to be really good at and really specialized in. I would say chase your curiosity and less about, your goals in a way. But you're going to have goals, but chase your curiosity in this space. If you're curious about how to do some graphic work, give it a try and see if you spend a lot of time there. Go with your gut feeling, build your skill set, and just have a good story at the end of the day.
That was a great story and a fantastic answer. I love how you say chase your curiosity. I'm going to put that on my wall now. It's going to be a quote. So thank you for that. All right, we're going to go back to you, Chris. So we've been talking about LinkedIn. You say you love LinkedIn. So can you give us tips for connecting with people on LinkedIn?
Yeah, early in my career, I kind of felt so lost and I didn't know how to get started. So I just started looking up roles that seemed cool, that I probably want to do. And I just followed them and I followed their posts, and some of them I would connect with them and I would just say, hello, I'm a student X, Y, and Z. And so, like Beth had said, some would respond and some wouldn't respond, but I'm known to them. So it wasn't a loss if anyone didn't respond to me. And I just kind of like over time just followed them. And what's weird is that as I, was able to enter my career and start working, I started building mutuals with them and started like working with people they knew, or ended up meeting some of them through either work or a networking event. And so for me, I need to see something before I can be it, not to be cliche. And so I needed to see these people and what are they doing to even know like where I wanted my career to be. And then there were some points where I like had hit a point of someone who I wanted to be. So now I'm like, okay, what's next? Now I only saw like 5 years into my career, and now I'm like 8 years in, and now I'm like thinking, okay, what are the next 10 years going to be like? So it's so exciting, and I feel like LinkedIn can help you kind of map out what that journey could be for you.
I love that answer, and I love that you were just messaging people. I'm about to go on LinkedIn after this and just message everyone who I know. I'm going to be like, hey, I think I want this job in the future. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might try it. You've inspired me.
And one thing about people, they love to talk about themselves. So if you just hit them up and say, hey, tell me about how you got to this point, they're like, oh, well, someone cares how I navigate my career. Okay, I'll talk to you for hours. And it works.
Okay, I'm definitely like I said, you inspired me. I'm doing that after this is over. All right. So next question is going to Beth. So you've been in recruiting for a long time. So can you tell us what's new or unique to the talent pipeline and the university recruiting business?
Um, well, what's new? The reason why I'm stumbling a little bit is I've always worked in pretty small environments. So I can safely say that we look at everything that comes through with our eyeballs rather than a machine sort of. I've heard about big corporations that individuals put specific words in their resumes so that a machine will pull them from the piles. And fortunately, or I've always been a part of institutions that it was about a personal touch. So in terms of what's new, I'm not sure that I know exactly what to say about technology in that way, other than what I've been told. What I will say is that that a resume, sort of stands on its own. And so you want to be as clear and concise about what information you're sharing. You don't want the recruiter to sort of lose sight of why they're looking at your resume. You want to be clear about what you want to do. You're not going to have just one resume. You might have multiple resumes. Um, and authenticity comes through in a resume. So I can't underscore enough that it just really is putting the right and truthful and authentic information into the information that we're reviewing, and it shines through. Because if you haven't done it, if you haven't done the work, or if you're trying to make something more of what your actual experiences are, it creates more questions than it might answer or solve if you're trying to fill in some spaces on your resume. Um, I had one resume. This was just a few years ago, where the guy said that he had purchased Photoshop. That was his skill, and it made me just go, "This is it's so weak that was." Unfortunate. It was unfortunate because I'm sure there was other qualities or skills that individual could have listed, but he so badly wanted to align with a tool that might be used, that that was the way he represented it in his resume, and it really caused more questions than anything. It didn't help him at all.
Well, that is very interesting that he actually put that down. But I mean, hey.
I mean, more power to him, but
Right.
he hadn't specified that he'd used it and couldn't demonstrate any work in using Photoshop.
That was a very bold move, but in the wrong way. So I hope that he figured that out. All right. So we're going to go back to you, Henry. So can you tell us what makes an applicant stand out the most to you, just specifically?
Yeah, it does depend on the role, but our roles are specifically geared towards product designers. And so with that, it's really about the user centric approach and making sure that this person really puts the user, or what we call as guest, at the park, just putting them at the forefront of everything that we do here. So unfortunately, though, sometimes like we get a lot of candidates that say they're a huge Disney fan and that they love the brand, they know everything about it and history, and that's great. That's awesome to know. But at the end of the day, we are very mindful of where you stand as a designer and how much you fulfill the user needs and the user goals. So if you demonstrate that within your portfolio or resume, we'll be able to know through some checks and balances and talking it through and having you kind of provide us more depth in it. But that's generally the number one thing that we do look for is this person really advocating for the user here and really being the front lines of the whole of everything that we do. Coachability is something we also look for as well. So just making sure that, does this person take feedback well? Do you provide helpful feedback to your teammates? And how do you get your point across with teammates and leaders in a way? How do you communicate those things? And to what Beth was saying too, authenticity. Sometimes we do drill in to see, do you really know the things that you just mentioned on paper? And it's okay to not know something. I've said I don't know in an interview before. And that's okay because it shows honesty. I'd rather someone just be honest and not sugarcoat or lie about anything. And if you don't know it, that's okay. We're here to help and we're here to support you in any way we can. So, authenticity and honesty is really good there.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Honesty is the best policy. So, no matter if you're in a job interview or anywhere else in your life, be honest, it takes you far. So, we're going back to you, Chris. Are there any key elements of a personal brand that you think are more important than others?
Personal key that's more important for a personal brand. I would say just knowing what you want, identifying like what you're looking for in your career. Because in the very beginning I was just applying to anything, and then I'd get in the interview and then I'd realize it wasn't a right fit, and I just kind of wasted my time and their time. So really identifying like what you want, being communicative, being able again to like create what your brand story is, why it makes sense. Because I think some people hate the question of like, why are you interested in this job? And they're like, because I want a job, or because this is a great company. But you really need to kind of like create some type of elevator pitch, that reels people in. And I don't know, that's something I'm definitely like intrigued, like super into, maybe because I study journalism and so I'm naturally a storyteller, but it's all about how you deliver that pitch. And then just on social media again, like it's not, it's okay to brag about yourself on social media. So why not brag about your career? If you've achieved something, people should know about it. And so when it comes to your brand, one, knowing your story, knowing your personal brand story, and two, making sure people know about it.
Fantastic answer. Once again, I love that. So, Beth, we're going back to you. We're just basically going in a circle here. So, what do you think is the best way to land a full-time position after an internship, especially now with COVID? Is there a certain way you think people should go about things now that things have changed? What do you recommend?
I think the thing about an internship from our perspective is that first and foremost, it's an educational experience, and we want you to take away, or walk away with more knowledge than you had before the internship started. And, ideally, if you get a job offer, that's icing on the cake. But you really want to be able to see whether or not you like it. You're still in the decision-making phase, and like you may have, I think of Pixar, people may have died, like dying to get the internship at Pixar. And then they come in. We had one intern who didn't seem particularly interested in his experience after he finished up, and it was a learning lesson for him that actually what he wanted to do was in a different area of computer science. And so for me, that's a win. And I hope, tried to convince him that it was a win too, because, there's a lot of pressure to get a job from an internship. And really, I think anybody approaching that kind of arena, you just put your head down and do the best work you can do. There might not always be a job at the end of an internship, but you're leaving a lasting impression that you never know. They might call you back in 3 months or 6 months or a year. And if you do a good job, I'm here to tell you, and it sounds like Henry can tell you too, that recruiters keep in touch with those who do good jobs and, leave a lasting impression and show not only that they can do the job, but probably some of the other skills that he was mentioning as well. Soft skills, gets along with, other people, shows initiative, all of those things that make it clear that you aren't just there for that moment, that you're thinking about the whole picture in terms of the tasks that you're doing. So just work really hard. And I know that sounds so easy and sort of very simple, but it really is as simple as that. Is you just got to put your best foot forward while you're on site, and work like you really want the job.
I have a story that relates to this, if you don't mind I share.
No, go ahead.
So I actually got my first job through the internship I had before that. So I was interning at MTV, and what I was really nervous because the journalism industry was not in a great place at the time. So I was like, this needs to get me a job. So I was introducing myself to everyone, making small talk with everyone in the office. This was years before this pandemic, and I felt like every new conversation is an opportunity. So there was this one guy who would just always chit chat in the kitchen, just always making jokes with one another. And then when I applied, like internship ended, 2 months go by. I had an interview at Nickelodeon, and the hiring manager used to work with him because MTV, Nickelodeon, same company. So he used to work at Nickelodeon. So she randomly asked him, "Oh, hey, I saw this person worked near your team. Do you know him?" And he spoke so well of me, and it was just a casual conversation. And that's what really helped me get the job. And so after that, I was like, okay, I need to continue and nurture this relationship with this guy. And so every once in a while, we would work in the same building. So I would get coffee with him and just kind of like thank him for helping jumpstart my career. And so all that to say, like when you have an internship, every person you meet, that's an opportunity to grow, whether they can teach you something, show you something, or be the reason why you get a job there or anywhere else.
I think people focus too much on hard skills nowadays to the point where they just don't look at the soft skills. But as we can see, soft skills such as communication and interpersonal skills are really important. And like what you said, every new conversation is an opportunity. I'm putting that on my wall too. My wall already has quotes, but I'm about to add like 2 more because you all are amazing.
Well, if I can add to that, what I love about that is part of that is also something might come in front of you, and it might not be exactly what in your mind you think you wanted to do or have expressed that you want to do. But sometimes opportunities, it's amazing where one thing can lead to another, and it's sort of like, I guess the parting note here is just be open to anything that might come in front of you. You don't have to do it forever, but it might lead you to something or someone that gets you ultimately to what you want to do, or adjust your thinking to what you didn't know you wanted to do. I guess it's being open to the idea that the path or the plan that you have in mind may differ from what actually happens, and that's okay.
I would totally agree with that too, because coming from recruiting, I kind of part of me was, this is my life now. Like I'm just gonna have to love recruiting. I'm gonna have to read up about it, and I was super open about it. I definitely gave it my all, but it was challenging. You have a hard job, Beth, and and but you're right. It does open up opportunities, and chasing your curiosity also opens up opportunities, and the networking opportunities for sure. It was a little discomfort in the beginning for sure, but discomfort leads to growth, and sometimes we just kind of have to embrace it, go through it, and you'll come out even stronger.
Yeah.
I'm going to be repeating y'all's quotes all night. Discomfort leads to growth. Wow, you all really should just have like your own quote book, because y'all are giving out the top tier knowledge here. So Henry, we're going to ask you another question. So I know you just spoke, but this is a great question here that we have. So what kinds of opportunities are there for someone just starting out, especially if someone isn't sure about what department they want to be in? How can they express that without coming across as unsure? So.
Yeah, I think when I approached this, I kind of this kind of touches up on the last question too, and the last thing that I was saying is just kind of be open to some opportunities that you think will help add some fluff, or at least some opportunities long term. I think was under the mindset of, I'll take what I can get. Beggars can't be choosers all too much. You can be picky, of course, you should to some degree. But as you see the opportunity and see where the company values are, you really have to ask yourself, like, is this the next step in my career that will lead me to a path that I will absolutely enjoy and can wake up every day to? And that was sort of the thing that I was thinking to myself, is that, can I wake up to this every day? I don't want to have to drag my feet into work what can I do, and like what is that? What are those? What's that cadence that I'm gonna have to go down? Now I didn't know I was gonna do UX design when I was a recruiter. I kind of gave it my all in that space, but as there was a point to which I was not sure, you know, I had recruiting as, you know, this open resource of like, here are all the potential roles that you can do, Henry, and which one do you think is going to resonate with you the most? So, you know, just being an open book, be open to any opportunity that comes your way, and being honest, of course. um, I will say too, though, I think what will, if if you know, if it ever comes to a point where you are not getting enough traction, or maybe you're kind of not feeling too well, or feeling, you know, positive about this interviewing process, it's okay to also carve your own path, and maybe even reach out to some friends and family that could also use some design work. Surely we live in a world, content rich world, where everyone is going to need either a logo, some graphics, business cards, maybe even a website. So, what's stopping you from reaching out to them to ask them, what are you doing these days? Do you need a website? Do you need a logo? That is opportunity that you can start up and just kind of kickstart your skill set in a way.
I like that answer, reaching out to people you know to get more comfortable and then, you know, building upon it there. So that was a great answer. So, Chris, we're going back to you. I've seen your social media. We were looking at it the other day, and it's amazing. So, let's say someone is new to social media, you know, they don't know that much about how they should go about creating their page. So, what is a way that you think people can market themselves in a way on social media that actually catches people's attention, whether that's Instagram or Twitter or just any form of social media?
Yeah, I would say one in research, like there are tons of blogs that show you, like if you're starting from the very beginning, how to create content, how to use social media, how to manage the analytics. If you really want to, like, I don't know, become maybe a business influencer or something, like a corporate America influencer. And also studying people, again, like identifying the people who you think are doing an amazing job at what you want to do, and think of like, what is that version, what is that version in my kind of likeness. So doing a lot of studying and not copying anyone, because nobody loves plagiarism, but really trying to see yourself in other people and how you can kind of bring that out. And thinking of like also those, in terms of like your personal brand story, like how can you tell that? Like what are the themes? Like you can even start by just like, okay, what are the things about my personality, and how do those things manifest in who I am as in my career? And how can I create content that aligns with those themes? One can be like, I'm very communicative. One thing, I'm very organized. I'm very empathetic. And then that can be like, this is your empathy video, and you do a video based on like how empathy shows up in the workplace and how you are an asset. And so now I'm just getting into like brainstorm strategy right now, but there are plenty of different ways. But one, just learning from the people who are doing a great job at it, and really sitting down and concepting those themes and starting from there.
Again, lovely answer. So you all have done a fantastic job answering these questions, and now we have a lot of questions from the audience. So if anyone is in the audience, I'm going to try not to butcher your name. So we're going to start with, we have a question from Rebecca Bartles. So anyone can answer this question, whoever is comfortable. She said, did you feel like age was ever a factor in breaking into a new industry, not being a young student? So anyone can answer that question, whoever is comfortable with it.
I will say, from what I don't think that matters all too much, to be honest. I think I always tell my students, even though I'm the instructor, I tell them I'm still a student myself, and so I'm just propelling what I know up to this point. And so I think age is just a number. It doesn't really matter. It kind of depends. Obviously, it's going to depend on your work and the case studies that you provide and the story that you tell. Personally, for me, that's what I think.
I piggyback off of you, Henry. I think you just said it in the previous answer too, is, if you find you're not getting the job and there's something you can do to demonstrate your capabilities by reaching out to your network or somebody to create proof of concept about your capabilities, your age shouldn't matter if you're able to produce that work and show it as what you do. So hopefully, I get it. The world can obviously discriminate in ways that are always very surprising, and my hope would be that that wouldn't be an issue. But if you're doing something that you can demonstrate regardless of your age, then hopefully you can create something that will get you in the door if you're not finding you're getting in the door based on just your resume alone and lack of experience.
And I would say, sometimes you have to, what's hard, like what Beth said about discrimination, but sometimes you can use that thing as your asset. If you are the oldest person in the room, maybe there's something about the way that you're showing up to a project or the way your ideas are coming from. Maybe you know about a concept and everyone else is too young to think of it. And so that can be your asset. That can be something that you bring to the table. Because, when I was the youngest person in the office, I knew that there were certain things about social media that my bosses very early in my career didn't know. So I was bringing up these ideas, and so there is you have to be really creative with it, but anything that you think is holding you back, if you really think about like how it can be your strength and your power in the workplace, could be really impactful.
Those
Yeah,
were absolutely. I'm so sorry. Keep
oh,
going.
sorry. I just to piggyback off that too. I fully agree, and I think that's why I love the design community all so much because we all come from different angles. I've had students do a pivot into UX design coming from biology or econ or something totally non-creative. We're all very creative in one way or another. You guys know more than you think you do. And sometimes it's just manifesting that within the creative space. And I love this creative space because we do bring our past trades and skill sets to the table in different angles that you probably weren't even thinking about. So I think it's more you're bringing, past experience that could be very relevant to this project.
Those were fantastic answers. I have another question if all of y'all want to answer this. This question is from Tyler Babb. He says, in each of your journeys, did you find any big lessons or opportunities from unexpected places? What lesser known routes can we take to find those?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
One more time. In each of your journeys, did you find any big lessons or opportunities from unexpected places? What lesser known routes can we take to find these opportunities?
I mean, I can take a stab. I'm not from a small city. I'm from San Jose, California, which is the heart of the Silicon Valley. So it's not a small place, but my interests were always in film production and pop culture. And so I knew I was going to want to figure out how to get that experience while I was going through my college studies. And but there wasn't production happening, that's for sure. And so I started by just volunteering at film festivals and things like that, where it was close to what I wanted to do, but it just kept me sort of in the circle or in the loop. And also gave me information or gave me stuff that I could put on my resume or talk about to people in the industry. And I think my point is that while I know we all have to make a living and we're all sort of super busy, if there's ways to peel out times where you can offer to your time to be able to get exposure to an industry that you want to do somehow, that's how it might be able to give you, some networking capabilities or some possibilities or just more insight about what it is you want to do. And it might mean that you're burning the candle at both ends, but I never regretted doing any of those things. It kept my excitement going for when I finally was able to move to LA and get to work in the production industry.
Yeah, it goes back to my original quote earlier, is just chase your curiosity. Like this is the time to just kind of just take a peek and see if you see yourself, but also think back at your values. Think back at what are you trying to do, like from just a 1,000 foot level. Like, you want to help people. I wanted to help people. I don't know how I'm going to help people, but I am curious on what paths there are, so that way I can try to hit that value. So I do recall there was a time when I had interviewed for a marketing company where it was like SEO, and I was like, cool, this is kind of like tech. I get to sit behind a computer, but I don't know if I'm truly helping people in a kind of a strong way. I'm sure there's better ways, but you tried it, you looked at it, and you're just like, I didn't. So just again, it's just curiosity, and if there's a little bit of discomfort there, there's probably something to take away from that, and it's just going to lead to growth.
I would say one unexpected lesson I learned, I think throughout the whole years, would be from like disagreements in the workplace. And I used to just get so frustrated. And then one day I realized like I can't keep getting like frustrated by like disagreements. And then I like leaned into like empathy. And I decided to just talk to like the people I was having issues with casually. And once I was able to learn more about who they were as people, it was hard to be upset with them because I understood why they did what upset me. And I realized like no one shows up to work to make anyone else's day terrible. And I kind of like came to this realization that like everyone in a company, they want to achieve success, but everyone's pathway to success looks very different. And so people are going to conflict. And so it's all about sitting people down and understanding like, okay, this is your pathway to success and here's where it intersects with mine. How can we both get to the finish line together without fighting each other? So basically through arguments, I learned kind of like, leading with empathy and understanding that these are real people and that you're not the protagonist in your company, although we all think we're the protagonists of our lives, but like at work you're not the main protagonist. That really helped me. That was an unexpected journey for me, and since I realized that at work, like my entire career in general, I realized this maybe a couple of years ago, has just been so much easier.
I love that answer. A lot of people do think that like they're the main character, but you're the main character in your life, not in everyone else. So
Right.
that's the answer. All right, Beth, this question is for you, and I see your cat there. So
I know. I'm sorry. It's dinner time.
Oh, well, no, I saw him. He was like tapping you. I was like, oh, that's cute. All right. So Tyler Martinez asked, he's a software manager and an improv comedian. So how appropriate or inappropriate would it be to use comedy in a resume or in a cover letter?
Gosh, it's an interesting question, because I think comedy can be, I mean, you can do what you want to do. You want to represent yourself in the best way that you know how, and you want to be your authentic self. The thing about it in an official capacity is that humor can be in the eye of the beholder. So you might not hit in the way that your mind is thinking that you're hitting. So, but I will tell you that if I read a resume about somebody who is a software developer and a comedian, I'd be super interested in that person and want to look more and deeper into what's going on in their background, what have they been doing. It would be fun to talk to that individual. So, it's sort of like, that's what we were talking about earlier about, what makes you stand out. It's like, that's an interesting story that somebody has about what they do and who they are. They're not just a software developer. They're a comedic software developer, and I'm intrigued.
I mean, that sounds pretty cool to me too. I would like, you're a comedian and a software developer. Like, it sounds like they have the best of both worlds. So this is the last question that I will ask all of you. And the question is, do you have any advice on how to find a mentor when you are struggling with your portfolio? This question is from Chiamaka. I think that's right. I hope that's right.
I think trying to identify someone, this may be simple, but like someone you have something in common with, but really like using that as an emotional connection. So like if you have a hobby that's similar to someone and you work with them, like kind of using that as your in, trying to build that kind of emotional bridge to get them to really care about you, like in a way that they can see themselves in you. I think that's really helpful. Like, I've had people that I reached out to just as a young Black person who didn't see many people like me in the workplace. You know, whenever I saw someone above director level or director level and above who was Black, I wanted to talk to them and be like, "How did you get there? Because I don't have any idea how I'm going to get there." And like, I could tell they were like, "Wow, like I need to help this person out because this person is clearly lost." And it just kind of like, I don't know, you felt that moment where you click. And then I was just like, wow, they care enough to chat with me. And so really like, kind of present yourself as like, no, you're not trying to get something out of them. You're trying to build a connection. You're trying to relate to them because that's what's going to create a long-standing kind of like moment and someone who can be an ally and a mentor to you, like get them to care.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the irony, I think, if you are graduating and you're suddenly isolated because of COVID or whatever, the irony after graduating is that we're alone. Is it sort of it's how do you recreate that compatriot feeling of collaboration with either your classmates or your workmates or something like that. And I think of it almost like a book club, like get a group of friends together and sort of like have I talk to students a lot who are like, I'm trying to get some more work done. And I'm like, well, set yourself a schedule, but that's hard. I have a hard time doing it with my own personal goals. So it's sort of like, maybe put together a group of people who, keep you accountable for creating new work and, or giving you a different brief to research or, if nothing else, where are you looking for a job? Because a few heads together, sort of come up with a bigger ideas and more opportunity than just one person alone. So, don't shy away from continuing those relationships that are powerful and meaningful and that you respect, because they can help you sort of continue to develop even if you have finished school or aren't working.
I think with portfolios, it's an ongoing forever project, and it's just something that you're just gonna be married to forever. So, your V1 version one of your portfolio is probably gonna be something that, at a bare minimum, you got your story out, you got your work shown out, and yeah, you're probably gonna get some declines here and there, but use it as opportunity to ask them, where was I shy on, like where did I shy from from others, or what can I do better next time. And and you want to ask like the people that hopefully like reviewed your work, and what's the harm in asking in through email, like, any advice that you can provide for me. Definitely on LinkedIn, as you are parsing through all the people in your network, think about the company that you really love. Look at your screen, look through the screen time of your phone, and figure out, which app do I use the most. Maybe that's a company that you want to work for. Why don't you look for a designer that worked for that company, and maybe reach out and ask, hey, here's my portfolio. I want to be like you one day. I want to, like, how did you do what you do? I think a lot of designers that work for companies, they don't get the credit that they deserve sometimes. And so, to be contacted by a aspiring designer or student to, have you talk about yourself, that's great. I think designers love to talk about themselves because they never get to. So, we're not scary people, and I think, by reaching out to whoever you can to get an eye on it. And my biggest advice to you is, yeah, you're gonna have a V1, like a version one of your portfolio. Close your computer, go for a walk, go on a hike, and come back to it maybe in the next couple of days with a fresh mindset. And you're just always gonna keep straining out those lines. Over time, it's just gonna get better and better. But it starts with the first step, and it starts with just, going through a little, you know, it could be half baked, I don't know, but just spend the time to just kind of also check in with yourself, and also um, reach out and just be an open book about things. There's also these days too. There's a lot of online mentorships happening especially with this virtual world. So there's a lot of programs out there that you can reach out to and find mentors yourself.
All right, one more quick question. This is what everyone is dying to know. I said that was the last one, but everyone is dying to know this one. Can each of you explain what the culture is like at your company and what your favorite thing is about it?
Well, I'm still pretty new. This is like week 10 for me. So I'm learning, but everyone has been so nice. There's just so much to learn. And I'm the type of person who asks a ton of questions, and everyone has said, yes, give us more questions. So that's been really nice. And I think my favorite thing about working at Netflix is that um, my first job, I was managing social at Nickelodeon for Degrassi, and then it left Degrassi for Netflix. So since then, I had like a man, like they really stole my favorite show that I love working on. And, now I'm at Netflix. So I feel like it was just like a full circle journey. So I like that I kind of accomplished what I had set out to do 6 years ago.
For me, I'm sure Beth is gonna just add a lot more to this too, but for me, it was because I was young in my career. I was looking for somewhat of a large team, but also more than that, I was looking for more a family, someone like a team that I can, always ask questions. Maybe it might be the same question. Maybe I didn't retain it. I'm a slow learner sometimes, and I'm also very aware that I'm gonna mess up. So, does this team have that willingness to, be patient with me and walk me through some things? And I can say that at Disney, the culture is very much like that. The cast experience that you get at the park, Disneyland or Disney World, when you go up to a cast member and ask for help, and that respect and like that willingness to go out of their way to help you, that same type of culture resonates at the business level too. There are a lot of supportive cast members that will go out of their way to help you find the answer you're looking for. Their family, the diversity and inclusion at Disney is also really great too. Um, it's a space to also be innovative and express your your ideas, even if it's out of the box. Might be hard to manifest how like that fully through because you have to show numbers and stuff. They respect the working hours, and just happy coworkers. And yeah, I think of course there's through thick or thin, like through tough times, like you know the positiveness of like cast members here would definitely inspire you and motivate you to keep going.
It's lots, very, very similar to what Henry is saying, but at a smaller level because Pixar is really only about 12 or I think actually we're a little higher now because we've been hiring a lot of people, but at its usually around 12 to 1300 people. So you kind of either everybody or you know what they do or they're at least familiar. And the thing I think I'm missing the most about in this work from home period is just bumping into people that I have no business reason to interact with, but I know them either socially or or through just some meeting or just because we happen to go to the breakfast to the cereal bar at the same time every morning. It's one of those things where I just miss people. And Pixar's environment is super friendly, super collaborative. My group, we get invited to story reel screenings so that they get our opinion on what's going on with the stories. I mean, it's just it's a wonderful family oriented place where you just really care about the person who's doing the job, in addition to what's going on in their life and what's going on in their department. And I can't say enough, but I think you'd find this in a lot of companies sort of doing content creation too. We all are very passionate about what we are putting out there to consumers and want to make sure that individuals have a great experience from what we're producing. And even though I'm in recruiting, I feel a part of the production. So that's a pretty it's a humbling experience at a place like Pixar, and it's one that I don't take lightly, and it's one I'm very proud of, and it's because Pixar is that kind of place.
Amazing answers once again. So the Q&A has now come to a close. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. This was fantastic. You all have given just so much wonderful and fantastic information. And I now have like 4 more quotes to go on my wall. So they definitely will be on the wall. And thank you all again so much. This was fantastic. Everyone who's watching, please don't forget to connect with them. Their links to their social medias and LinkedIn's and everything should be in the comments. So now we're going to go into this little demo that we have created. We have this little challenge for everyone who's watching. So for this event, you can create a mood board using Adobe Spark for your favorite character. So your favorite Disney, Pixar, Netflix character, you can make a mood board and then submit that on our Discord server. So then 3 entries will be selected. And when you are selected, if you're lucky, you will have a 30-minute one-on-one session with one of our panelists. And you will also receive a 1-year membership of Creative Cloud. And Creative Cloud is amazing. So, I mean, I hope whoever wins, like, props to you, because Creative Cloud is like the best thing to be ever invented. So we're going to show you a little demo that I created. Don't laugh at me. I was a little sleepy when I made it, but it's going to be great. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I'm an Adobe Student Campus Ambassador at the University of Alabama. And today I will be teaching you how to make a collage or a mood board on Spark based on your favorite Disney, Pixar, or Netflix character. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so here we have Spark already pulled up, and I decided to make my mood board like a collage. So I just went in and chose to click the button collage, and then this popped up. However, if you want to make it from like scratch and do like a template, you can also do that as well. So I already chose most of my photos, but I'll go in and show you all how to choose one yourself. So I hit the button upload. I already downloaded these pictures from the web. So these are photos from the web. And so I named them things so that it'll be easy for me to know exactly what they are. And so I'm going to add this one here. I'm going to hit open, and it's going to immediately add to all the other ones that I have selected. You can also select or search for free photos through Adobe as well, if you don't really see any on the web that you like or you can't find specific ones. So now that we have all our photos uploaded, we're going to hit the next button. And I want mine to be the shape of a square, so we're going to keep that normal, and we're going to hit next. So now Adobe's going to do its magic. And the thing that I love is that even if you aren't tech savvy, this platform, Spark, is extremely easy to use. So all I had to do was hit a few buttons, and now my collage is going to be made for me. So it's going to take a second to load because it's choosing where all the pictures fit best. And then if I like it, we'll leave it. And if I don't, we'll switch it up a little bit. All right, so it's pulling up. Okay, so here we go. So here are all the photos that I selected. And so you see how they're all in their own little squares. However, if I don't like where it is, I can move it. I see a few that I don't necessarily like where they're placed. So I think I'm going to switch them around. So we're going to add this one here. So all you have to do is like drag it. So you see how now it's changed. And so we're going to do a few tweaks. So we're going to pull this one down. Okay, perfect. So I like how the color swatches are together because it makes it look better to me personally. So I like how this is set up. I like how you can see everything. I like how it's clear what everything is. And if you guys haven't guessed yet, my mood board is inspired by Princess Tiana. So we have like the Bayou and the frog and Mardi Gras and Gumbo and a crown, of course, because she's a princess. So we're almost finished. I just like to add a few design assets to give mine a pop. So I really like the idea of like tape. So we're just going to type in tape, hit enter, and then Adobe's going to do its magic and it pulls up everything. So I want a frame to go around my thing. So we're going to see. So we're going to hit the frame button. It's going to load, and then I'm going to shape it to fit around these little color swatches here. So here's our frame. So we're going to drag it over. And then we're going to make it a little bit larger to fit right here. So we're going to do a little bit more dragging. Make it a little bit larger. little bit more and make sure that it looks good. I'm going to drag it down. See if we can fit it. Let's make it a little bit larger. Okay, so we have our frame. And so I like how it has like the tape look because it gives it, I don't know, I just think mood boards should have tape on them. Okay, so now we have our tape piece. So we have that. So now we're going to add a little bit more tape because I really like the idea of tape. So let's see, we're going to scroll down to our elements, and Adobe has a whole bunch of elements for you to choose from. So like I said, I love the idea of tape. So we're going to add a little bit more tape to make it look kind of like a scrapbook. I like things that look scrapbook-like. So we're going to add another piece of tape. We're going to make this one a little bit smaller because it's huge. Okay, not that small. A little bit bigger. And then I'm going to place it in between pictures. So now it looks like I actually taped these pictures together. See, that's really cute. Then we're going to add another piece. It always takes a minute to load, so you kind of have to be patient. All right, and it's popping up. Okay, so here is our other piece of tape. So we're going to make this one a little bit smaller as well. A little bit more. All right, perfect. And then I'm going to take it and place it here. Okay, look, and it was that simple, it was that easy, and now you have a collage and you can tell what character it's based off of. So if you all want to make a collage based off your favorite Pixar, Disney, or Netflix character, then this is how you do it. It's easy and simple. Don't hesitate to ask us any questions, and I hope everyone enjoyed. All right, so that is how you make your mood board. I hope that everyone enjoyed. Do not forget to submit your submissions on our Discord channel. And I just hope everyone enjoyed this and hope you all have a great evening. Bye.